Welcome to episode 12 at Cottage Tranquility, and in today's episode I'm going to be showing you some of the work that I was doing in November, and that was to do the crenellations, so the top part of the oak room in plasterboard, and basically teaching myself, having had some crash course lesson from Matthew and having done some of the base pieces, I was now working on all of the smaller pieces and screwing those in above. So hopefully this will be an interesting watch for you all, and letting you see how I get on, and hopefully useful to anybody new who's worried about plasterboarding for the first time. Don't be worried about it. It's a lot simpler than it looks. Plasterboard is a lot tougher than you think it's going to be. I thought that it would just be breaking all over the place, but actually no, it was all good. So enjoy, and thank you once more for joining me. The uprights you can see above the windows there are what I've put in this morning. I had to chop those yesterday, woodworm treatment them, and then there are 6 posts there, and I am now going to attempt to, I will be cutting up plasterboard and then screwing that to the top there prior to then mud and taping all the joints on the plasterboard. So that'll be my next job. So first things first, time to get on with the plasterboarding. I'll show you when it's done. So here's some of the progression. It takes me a while to do these pieces, and so far I've done 4 over the past couple of days. Those ones with remnants there, and these with new ones. The greeny blue colour is the waterproof plasterboard for the bathroom, whereas this one here is just fireproof, soundproof one, which I've been generally using on the outside, but because I have the waterproof one left, I am going to use that both inside and outside for the top bits. Next, we're coming to the crenellations. I've had to put some extra bits in. I've put an extra bit of oak up there, and then I've also stuck on some extra, I say stuck on, screwed on some extra pieces there onto the battens, because I realised that in certain areas, due to where they are, they're going to need some extra pieces of wood for me to bolt onto. And the reason for the additional piece of oak was because the door that I've got to hang will probably be on the crossbeam, I'm not sure. And so I thought, rather than mess around later, I'll put the extra piece of oak in. So I sawed that yesterday and installed that. So that's there above, and I just thought it'd be nicer just to have the one piece there, and then I'll have to cut around. So all of these, as you can see, I've got the crenellations for the bits of beams, cross beams here, plus I've got that one there where the new bit of oak is, which are going to be trickier cuts. So I've had tricky cuts because of the main long beam going through, and now I'm going to have these ones. So they take longer than normal. The quick straight cuts themselves, easy peasy, don't take too long at all. It's then the fiddly bits which then cause the place to look like, rave up in a Coke factory, quite frankly. So as you can see, goggles and mask over there, because when you're cutting that stuff, the powder gets everywhere, and I really don't want to mess up my lungs or my eyes, so hence having those. Right, better go and get back to it. Here we go, going to just measure up some of this plasterboard. So you see it's a green one, greeny blue for hydro. The width of these is all 60, just going to measure it just to make sure. Yeah, see this one's showing is slightly less than on that edge. And again there. This one's a bit shorter than 60. And then I'm just going to measure across. So here I've got 76.2, and I'm going to have to divide that up into several different pieces. So all I've done on this piece of plasterboard is I've scored across the line there. So I've basically gone down the line using a straight edge off of my spirit level. God blimey. Right, so use that, scored down there using a Stanley knife, and now I'm going to try and break this by tapping it or whacking it. Quite easy, as you can see. And then I'm just going to take the Stanley knife and take it down the line here, choose the crease between the two pieces. Just stops the brown paper back in from tearing, hopefully, she says. Can be a bit tough at either end where it's double taped, so I'll just go over those several times, and then it should, she said, I believe this was an actually sharp blade. Come apart, there we go, it has. This isn't one we did earlier. There we go. There we are. Now we have the two pieces here. I'm just going to write on this one, so what number it is, so I know when I go back upstairs that that is the piece that goes in that first slot. So that's number one. And then I'm going to continue to cut another 5 pieces that I've got to cut. Take them all upstairs, and then I'll work on those. Some of them this evening and probably some tomorrow, depending on how I get on. So I thought I'd better show you what I was doing before I actually finish doing what I've been doing with the plasterwork here. So this is the plasterboarding of the bathroom. As you can see, I've been going around cutting in and fitting plasterboard at the top over the battens that I put in, and currently I'm just finishing the inside. So I put an extra bit of oak there because I've got a slide bar to go across for a barn door type fitting. And as you can see, I've done that. I'm almost at the end here. So I'm going to fit this last piece and show you that. Or the last 2 pieces. The small piece here has been cut for the end, and my current workstation. Here we can see I've cut that out, and what I found so far is just need to tidy up this end piece here, chop that down a little bit and narrow this corner off, and then that should all fit. And what I've been doing is using the Stanley knife just to score pieces. And then I've been using a junior hacksaw to then cut down as far as it will go, and then I use the Stanley knife again to just score across, knock that with I use the palm of my hand, being not as strong in the fingers and stuff, so I just use that to just tap that breaks. Then use this from the back just to cut through, take that piece out, and then do the next bit until the whole piece is done. And yeah, I tend to leave the last piece to be about that big, because I find that if I chunk it into 2, I'm left with a small slither here that I can't quite reach from the hacksaw perspective. And when you have a piece that's that slim, it's particularly difficult to then knock it out and get the clean line that you're looking for. So basically cutting it into 3 sections makes that easier for me. That's certainly my experience, but then I'm not an expert. I am just a DIY enthusiast who's learning as I go from my friends, my family, and my own experience. So I'm going to crack on with this piece, and then I'll show you briefly, if I can, me screwing this into place. So here we go. This is the piece. I've just put it up there at the moment and pushed it in. As you can see, there's a little bit of gap, but that's okay, because once I've cut that, V'd in, and then mud and taped it, and that'll be completely hidden. So I've got no issues with that at all. And again, there's a slight gap around the beam, but I'm pretty happy with that. And all I've done is I did the initial cuts from the top to bottom, so measuring 60 centimetres across, which is the standard width of the plasterboard between the beams. And when I say the beams, I mean the stud beams that I put in, not these ones up here. And then I have taken each piece individually once I've moved to the next piece, and I've put that piece up and measured it up against here, and then drawn on the top of the beam of the plasterboard either side. So it actually comes to sort of here, and then but up the top there. I don't know if that makes any sense whatsoever, but yeah. And that has then given me the width. Double check the width here, measured it at the top, measured it at the bottom, and then I've measured the depth of the beam both on the left and the right hand side, because often I find that they're slightly wonky, maybe a couple of millimeters out. So yeah, measured those, draw that up first on the plasterboard on the flat, and then I've cut it, and then I come and check it and see where it needs cutting and where it doesn't. So as you can see, I just scooched a little bit off here and a little bit there, and that's enabled that to fit in with a little bit of help from me pressing it in. So next is me screwing it in. One in, 3 more to go. Right, there we go. That's all 4 screws. I've only put one at the top and one at the bottom because these are quite narrow. They're only about 40 centimetres deep, just under. So I haven't needed to put any more than that screws wise in. And yeah, I didn't bother filming me doing the other ones because for a health and safety perspective, it was better for me to have both hands available for driving the screws in and holding on to the ladder and framework. So there we go, there's that one. And now I'm going to measure up the last one here, which I will then mark up where this is, because obviously that's the point that I'm going to screw into. And I've left a tiny lip here, so I've got something to screw into on this side as well. So to show you the sort of issues that you'll find when you've cut these things and you've actually then fitted them, the difference can be quite drastic. So here we go, measuring it up to the side here, so that's flush. You can see 1, it's longer here than it should be, and 2, it overlaps. So what I've done is I've used the pencil to score up against the existing piece. I'm not going to cut the existing piece that's screwed in. What I'm going to do is I'll cut the piece that I'm holding on to. But as you can see, when I take that away, you can see how much it's different. So that allows me to then mark up on here, on the top here, how much I need to actually shave off of that at the top. I don't know if you can kind of see that. Let me
take that across. And then I know that that's got to come down to that point. So if I then take that back over here, I can see that's got to come to roughly where the 9 is, just below the hashtag there for me numbering all my pieces, and I can cut that, and then I'll do the same at the bottom. I'll mark up how much needs to come off of the right hand side.
Following on from finishing the plasterboard work on the Oak Suites bathroom, I then had to do some plasterboarding to bring in flush the walls either side of the chimney breast, where I'd uncovered the chimney breast with the help of Matthew. Then Chris actually helped me with building the battening, which was a very strange, unusual shape when he was here at the end of November, and I then did the plasterboarding to that prior to then doing the mudding and taping of all the room. And following that, I've then been repointing that chimney breast. So that's kind of where I am at the moment, and this is end of January. So hopefully you'll join me for the next few videos, and there's also a lot of other stuff going on around moving to France, not just renovations, so I will get those videos out in between as well. Thank you once again for joining me here at Cottage Tranquility. Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying it, and I'll see you for the next episode.